Berserk. I've been playing through the Berserk games recently because I've been reading Berserk again recently, and I just wanted to see what kind of games this series had to offer. And the answer is quite a few of them, quite a few interesting ones too. I've ranted about this before in the past, but I don't typically like when anime get video game adaptations, because 9 times out of 10 it's a fighting game. And I guess I shouldn't say I dislike that, but there is a part of me that feels like, come on guys, we can do something besides fighting games. And thankfully the 3 Berserk games that exist, the 3 notable ones at least, they aren't fighting games. They're beat 'em ups, they're hack and slashes, they're musos, and I think they all offer something quite unique with each of them. So the first game I want to talk about is Sword of the Berserk: Guts' Rage. This is a Berserk game that was released on the Dreamcast. It's a bit more arcadey than the other games I'll be talking about in this video, but that doesn't mean it's any less fun than the others. It has its own original story, which takes place after Guts reunites with Casca in the story, and it also has some pretty nice voice acting with some recognizable voice actors. I think Cam Clark is in it, and Paul Eating, 2 people you might recognize from Metal Gear Solid. It's your standard hack and slash. You've played these games before, but it's nothing terribly offensive. I thought some of the level design left a bit to be desired because, well, you can like interrupt your own combos by clashing the Dragon Slayer into walls and stuff, and that got pretty annoying. But yeah, like I said, other than that, there was nothing that I found terribly offensive or anything that I really disliked about this game. I actually kind of like the story quite a lot. It fits more in line with the part of Berserk that I fell in love with, which was the earlier story, when things were dark and depressing and Guts had a terrible life. Not to say the latter parts of Berserk doesn't have any of that, but it does become notably more lighthearted. But yeah, no, I thought the new characters were interesting. I thought the story was fun. I thought they were doing something unique with the new character Balzac. That's his name, the main antagonist. Actually, if I could complain about one thing, it would be that this game, some of the fights in this game are wars of attrition. You're gonna run through multiple lives, you know, trying to learn everything. And that just comes with the experience as far as I'm concerned though. Like I said, it's more arcade-ish, so in the way it plays, in the way it looks, in the way the cutscenes run, it all feels like you're playing, I don't know, some arcade game that just has the Berserk brand on it. But again, that's not a bad thing. That's just the nature of the game. And I have played through this game multiple times. I think my first playthrough took me like 2 days actually. My second one took me 2 hours. So you can get better at it. You can learn this game, which I really love when you can get so good at a game that you can clear it in just a few hours. I actually have a video coming up soon where I talk about a game just like that, but spoilers, that's for another day. So yeah, I'd recommend this one to anyone who likes Berserk, anyone who likes arcade games, anyone who likes, you know, just this era of Dreamcast. I say give it a shot. Sword of the Berserk: Guts' Rage. Okay, and the next Berserk game I want to talk about is the one that was released for the PlayStation 2. And I am going to read this because I can't remember the name of it and I don't want to mess this up. It's called Berserk Millennium Falcon Seima Senki no Sho. This is a Japanese exclusive Berserk game, but it was translated so everyone who speaks English or Japanese can enjoy it. I actually have less favorable things to say about this one. First of all, it is a fun game. I didn't have any issues with how the sword play or anything else works. It feels really satisfying too. The sword feels really weighty in your hands, and it's nice to see the enemies actually, it's nice to see how you actually slice the enemies in half in this game. I thought that was really neat. But the game's biggest problem is kind of the same as the other Berserk game, in that the level design leaves a lot to be desired. A lot of the levels in this game are just dungeons where you run through an open, wide map. So a lot of the time you're just running back back and forth, to and fro, from area to area. And it's a shame to say I didn't really get engrossed with this one like I did the Dreamcast game, but I still thought, it had its own things going for it. I really liked how they introduced original content in this game to kind of flesh out the characters. Guts would have visions of people from his past, and I thought that was a neat way to kind of show, what he was going through mentally at the time. And they also had some other original characters introduced in this game that weren't in the original story or in the other Berserk game that I talked about before. But yeah, I don't have as much nice things to say about this one. If you do want to give it a try, I'll just suggest that you play it in bursts. I don't think this is really the kind of game that you can run through in a couple of hours like you can Guts' Rage. There's still a bunch of this game I have yet to see. I do plan on returning to it, but I don't know if I'm going to do it anytime soon. There were points where I felt my eyes glazing over while I was playing this one. But how many times can you say the same thing? It's a cool game. It's kind of a slog, and I don't know if I can really recommend it. If you do play it in bursts. Alright, and the next game I want to talk about is probably my favorite Berserk game of the bunch. Berserk in the Band of the Hawk. This is a Muso that takes place over a majority of the story, actually. First of all, disclaimer, I'm not super knowledgeable about Muso games. I've played through a few Dynasty Warriors, I've played through a few Samurai Warriors, I've put my own amount of time into One Piece Pirate Warriors as well, but really, you shouldn't come to me if you want to hear about Musos and what makes them so great. I'll just say I find these games a lot of fun. I would like to get into them more, but as far as the Berserk Muso is concerned, I don't think this game is doing anything too interesting or unique for a Muso. Like, I'm playing it right now as I record this memory card, actually. I'm just recording it as I talk. But despite the fact that I don't think this game is doing anything too interesting for a Muso itself, I still find this game a lot of fun to play, just because, I guess I just like the Muso formula. These games I find they're very easy to turn your brain off and get kind of lost in. I know they can be challenging, but the way I play them, I usually play on easy or whatever, I'll be honest. I don't tend to feel challenged a lot. I like to have a nice, easy, comfortable experience with these games where I just mow down thousands of enemies. And the Berserk game offers that. I've heard a lot of people, or I've read a lot of posts where people actually express their dislike for this game. And I guess I get it, because Musos aren't for everyone. Like I said, I'm still not super experienced with them myself, but I would like to play them more. And yeah, if this isn't your type of game, I can see why you wouldn't care so much for Berserk Muso. But no, this game was neat. I thought it was neat. It had some cutscenes from the many anime adaptations that Berserk has had over the years. And you got to play as a lot of the characters. As you know, if you know about Musos, you know that they tend to offer a huge roster, experience their different abilities. Everyone has a different playstyle most of the time. And you can play as all your favorites. My personal favorite is Farnese, not to play in this game, but just as a character. If you like Casca, you can play as her. If you like anyone else, Serpico, you can play as them. I would actually like to talk about Farnese more and why I love her so much, but this isn't the video for that. I'll save that for another day, maybe when I talk about the Berserk manga or something. She's a great character. I love her so much. But yes, I am a huge fan of Berserk Muso. If you're a Muso fan, check it out. If you're a Berserk fan, check it out. If you're neither of those, maybe you don't have to check this one out. But this is the Berserk game that I enjoy playing the most. The next game I want to talk about is UNDERTALE. I've recently been playing through this game again because a friend of mine, Wimbledon, has been playing through the series for the first time ever. So I'm running through it together with him with a mod called Undertale together, and we've been having a good time. Unfortunately, I think because we're having so much fun and dicking around a lot, we're kind of skipping over the story, which probably isn't the best first way for someone to experience Undertale, because you know there is a lot to that game that I think is worth taking in, and you know, not skipping over all the dialogue and everything. But we've been having a good time just going through it together. We've actually been streaming it too on my second channel, Chimp Chomp. So if anyone wants to see part of our playthrough, you can go over there and check it out. But no, it has been really neat to return to Undertale and just see some cool stuff that I forgot entirely about, like the annoying dog after the umbrella piano puzzle in that one part of the waterfalls. Completely forgot about that, and it gave me a good laugh when I saw it for the first time all over again. So yeah, not much to say about this one. It's just a game that I've been playing through recently. Undertale is neat. I think everyone knows and appreciates Undertale at this point. There's not much for me to say about it other than that. Play it if you haven't. Play it with a friend if you haven't. The mod is super fun, and I can't recommend it enough. Okay, and the final game I want to talk about is Silent Hill F. Boy, what a game. This is one that I thought about just dedicating its own memory card to, and who knows, I might even return to this game in a full video in the future. But Silent Hill F, where do I even start with this one? It's been out for about half a year at this point, and I just played through it for the first time. Yeah, I've kind of been just, it's one of those where, you know, after you beat it, it just stays on your mind, and you can't think of anything else. It's a really neat game. I love the setting, I love the era, I love the characters, I love what I interpret what the story is trying to say. And yeah, of course, this is another one that I recommend to everyone. I don't want to talk about the story too much because this will include spoilers, obviously, but I'll try not to go too deep into the spoilers, because if you've never played Silent Hill F before, I still want you to be able to enjoy it yourself. But I will say there's an interesting theme in this game where Hinako, the main character, you know, there's a strong theme of tradition and societal gender norms in this game, and Hinako really resents a lot of that. That's represented through the journal entries that you read, to her relationships with her peers, to generally just how characters interact with each other and Hinako's reactions and everything. Let me also just say, I think Hinako is a great character. She's strong-willed, she's determined, she doesn't show a lot of hesitancy and whatnot. But that doesn't mean she's a perfect character. She's not a Mary Stu, you know, she's still fearful of things and whatnot. She just braves a lot of it. And I found her very likable as a character, Hinako. I found a lot of these characters likable in this game. So yeah, if you don't know, Silent Hill is a supernatural town where your fears and your traumas and your troubles become manifest as monsters or visions or whatever else. Hinako, what she sees, what she goes through is no different from any other Silent Hill game. You have your steel pipe as a weapon and all that, right? But yeah, I just thought what Hinako went through was really interesting. I think Hinako's fears are best represented by a lot of the enemy designs, though. First of all, they're really nice enemy designs. Some of these guys have severed and reattached limbs. Some of these guys have these huge gaping maws that I found really interesting to look at. I think the most interesting and pertinent to what we're talking about right now are the enemies who look like clusters, enemies who look like they're amalgamated faces and other body parts. Well, to me, I think it's pretty clear what they represent. It's that assimilation that Hinako fears so much. She especially seems to hate the characters with multiple stomachs who look like they're pregnant and they spawn out these other monsters. she'll say things like, "I'm not gonna become like you," or "You did this to yourself." And I don't think the game is ever more straightforward and, to the point with what it's trying to get to than in those moments where Hinako deals with those kinds of enemies. Well, I can't say much more without really getting into spoilers. I can't say what I think about Fox Mask. I can't say what I think about Hinako killing. But right now, I'll just say I've had a really fun time playing through Silent Hill F. Personally, I did have some performance issues because I was also streaming the game while I was playing it, or a majority of it at least. I'm sure that contributed to some of my performance issues while I was playing it. But, that didn't kill the experience for me. Still had a ton of fun with Silent Hill F. Just like every other game I've talked about in this video, I would 1000% recommend it. So, pick it up if you can. If you want to hear more about my thoughts on Silent Hill F, just, comment or something and ask me anything, I'll talk about it. But yeah, pretty much those are all the games I've been playing recently, my thoughts on them. Just a quick little update. With this memory card series, I like to talk about games I've been playing recently or things I think are neat and I want to show it off. And I've done that here, so